women who are teaching or studying in colleges or in schools. And if we were to look at the national crime records in just the recent past of the country, for example, if the national crime ratio against women is 14%, the crime ratio against women is double that amount, and it is 27.6%. So I think it's high time. It's high time the empowered, educated young women of this country get together and ask if a nation and a government cannot get together and think as to how I will live my life, whether I'm safe, whether I, going into a school or a college, will ever return back home safe and sound in one piece, then it's a shame that in the past 5 years, or within this year itself, there have been murders, there have been rapes, there have been molestation cases, and these questions definitely need to be answered. A government which is headed by a woman and the National Capital Region, whose chief minister is a woman, I think some very deep-rooted questions are attached to this. What is the plight of the Aam Aadmi? Now, we've been hearing a lot of tokenism and sloganeering around us. We think for the poor, we think for the common, we think for the common good. Our policies are for the common good. We do everything so that people get secure in life. Let us actually look at what the Aam Aadmi is going through today. 55 million of the population of this country is pushed below the poverty line. And this has been written by no other than one of the most dynamic editors of our country, Mr. M.J. Akbar. And this particular data is from an article that he wrote on February 22nd, 2009 in the Pioneer. The number of people living below the poverty line has actually increased by a horrifying 20%. India had some 270 million people below the poverty line in 2004 and 2005, and that number has gone up by 55 million. So what is the question that we need to ask? If just 5 or 4.5 years ago, this figure, people below poverty line, policies which say, हमारा हाथ गरीब आदमी के साथ, हम आम आदमी के लिए निर्णायक स्थिति पैदा करते हैं. These kind of slogans have actually translated into what kind of bitter truth? The bitter truth being that just in the past 4 years, 20% increase has happened in the poverty ratio of the country, and the horrifying figure of 55 million increase in the people who are actually below the poverty line. That means they do not even get 1 square meal a day. Isn't this time that we ask this question, how did we allow this to happen? Take it from the last line, okay? Isn't this time that we actually stop and ask these questions? How did we allow this to happen? After all, the Indian governing class has not descended from Mars or Venus. They are people who have actually taken up leadership positions and have come up the ranks amongst us. So we are as much responsible for the situation that we are in as the leaders who are governing us. So how did this happen? Who allowed this to happen? Is this how a country is managed? Piecemeal by piecemeal, as in the present setup. That means there's always a cut and paste job which happens. A terrorist act happens, you beef up the security of a particular region of the country. Somebody dies of malnutrition and starvation in the country, another one little approach on an NGO is formed, and the government does something to elevate the region where malnutrition is there. Is there no national policy towards elevation of poverty? Is there no generalized sort of setup where we can say we are safe, socially secure, and people below below poverty line have at least got some few things to look up to? The answer to this piecemeal approach is no. What do we really need to elevate the situation? We need a vision and we need a holistic picture. We need a kind of a governance situation where we look at the country as a whole conglomerate. There is a holistic approach to looking towards the country, whether it is students, whether it is children, whether it is senior citizens, whether it is women, and whether it's the poor. They all make up to the basic geography of this country, and there has to be a holistic approach towards them. Just cut it. So we need a vision and we need a holistic picture for the country. If we were to look at the 5-6 years of NDA rule in the country, and if we were to look at a small example, there is a weapon that the NDA government gave to the common man of this country. And the weapon was this little piece, this little instrument. Now you would wonder, why am I calling it a weapon? Am I using it to actually hit somebody and break somebody's head? No. This was a weapon of empowerment that even people who actually sell vegetables to us and people who actually give milk in our homes had connectivity to the very people that they are serving. For example, a farmer who's going into the mandi to sell his produce for the day. That farmer, without a middleman, can just dial a number and figure out what is the price of that particular vegetable that he's taking to the mandi, and he would exactly know how much produce will sell that day and for what price. So simple things like connectivity, simple things like bringing common good to the common people, the IT vision, the empowerment that the NDA government gave to its people with this little instrument in their hands, and there was no disparity. Whether you earn millions or whether you earn hundreds, you were right there on the same plank and you used the same technology. Now, one of the most important historical policies which was mooted in the 16th century, a very ambitious project mooted by Sher Shah Suri, was the Golden Quadrilateral. The Golden Quadrilateral was a beautiful project which was about connecting all major metros. That means each zone of the country, east to west, north to south, east to north. For example, east to west, the Silchar, which is Assam, to Porbandar in Gujarat. That means you are cutting across the demography of the country, and throughout the national diaspora, you will create corridors with each other, which was a very ambitious project that actually was mooted in the 16th century. Now, if I were to remind you, during the NDA government, the Golden Quadrilateral was not just rethought, it was rethought and renegotiated that it would happen in the country. Another, north to south, Srinagar, that means actually from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. From Srinagar to Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu, there would be a corridor which would stretch across thousands of kilometers and would actually provide connectivity from one very distant part of the country to down south, which was Tamil Nadu.